Hi, Tony DeWitt here, Missouri appellate attorney and a guy who likes to make the law make sense on YouTube. Well, it had to happen. We had to hear from the peanut gallery of people who are sovereign citizens, so let's get into that. So I got a comment on my channel from someone who is apparently a sovereign citizen. And here is what that person said. You are mistaken, my friend. Notice that mistaken is capitalized. You are confused. He doesn't say about what. You understand maritime law, and as far as I can see, you don't live on the sea. Well, first of all, I didn't say anything about maritime law. I was talking specifically about the Darrell Brooks case and sovereign citizens in general, which has absolutely nothing to do with maritime law. He goes on. You live on the land and therefore come under common law. Well, that's partially correct, but mostly incorrect. Common law is judge-made law. It is the law that judges make when they decide cases. For example, Mr. Smith has an insurance policy with Acme Insurance, and he says that a particular peril, let's call it hail, that hail should be covered under his policy. And the insurance company says, no, we don't think hail is covered under your policy. So he sues in court, and the judge determines that hail is not covered. Well, as far as any future determinations of that policy in that court, the common law would be that hail is not covered. But suppose Mr. Smith then goes and appeals that to the next higher court. And the next higher court says, what's wrong with you guys? Of course it's a covered peril. So now the common law has changed, and it's been changed by a judge of call it a higher rank, if you will, but basically an appellate judge who says, no, trial court got this one wrong, and the plain language of the contract says that this peril is covered. Well, that's how common law gets made. There are very, very few common law crimes. And in fact, in the United States, there really are none. Even treason is defined in the Constitution. You see, common law works very well under civil law. It's certainly good for determining civil issues. But it doesn't work well in the criminal context because the criminal law is all positive law. In other words, it's all state statutes or municipal ordinances, whatever. The crimes are defined by the state legislature, and that's what makes the law in that particular state. Now, in the states where I live, for example, Florida, in Florida, I have to have a concealed carry permit to carry my weapon. However, if I drive a few miles north and go into Alabama, I no longer need my carry permit. I still keep it with me, but I no longer need it because the statutory law in Alabama says I don't need a concealed carry permit. That's the same way with a number of other states, including Missouri and Kansas. There are a lot of constitutional carry states, and that's how the law develops in the United States. You have states that make individual laws that pertain to their citizens, and they pertain to non-citizens who happen to transit through those states. So when we talk about Darrell Brooks and his case, sovereign citizen or not, he is governed by the statutory law of the state of Wisconsin. And I'm afraid our poster here is just wrong. Sovereign citizens know a lot of things about case law from the 1800s and early 1900s that has absolutely nothing to do with the law as it currently exists. Because over time, almost all of those laws have changed as a direct result of legislative action. And because of that, the whole sovereign citizen movement is predicated on a belief that we are somehow stuck in the 1800s and that law that was written or common law that was decided in the 1800s on civil matters somehow controls over criminal matters in the 21st century. And that just is not the case. And it's pretty much a ridiculous notion to even begin with. So, hopefully that sort of clears things up and makes it better for people who don't understand that sovereign citizenship and sovereign citizen activists who suggest that they have some, dead bang relief for getting a traffic ticket because they're not driving a commercial vehicle. It's just wrong. And they get told that they're wrong by the police officers at the scene, by the first judge that sees them, and by any judge who happens to come across their case on appeal. That's the way the law works. And I understand they don't like it. And I understand they have all of these videos online and all of these websites that put all of this nonsense out. But if you follow that stuff and you adhere to that stuff and you try it by not driving with a driver's license or not having a license on your vehicle, you do so at your own peril. And you have no one to blame when your car gets impounded and you get a heavy fine. So, hopefully that clears up my comment that came in on the Darrell Brooks video about maritime law. Maritime law isn't really called maritime law. It's called admiralty law. That's how it is indexed in the court system. And it deals with much more arcane features of, for example, when a shipment or what happens to a boat, for example, that is disabled and has to be towed in. There's the law of salvage. There's a lot of different things in admiralty law, all of it very interesting. None of it whatsoever applicable to Darrell Brooks' case. Hopefully that clears things up. I appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Like, share, subscribe. You guys know what to do. And thank you again for coming to this channel. Hope to see you again on here shortly.